When you're standing in a garage or a small workshop, staring at a piece of plywood that you want to turn into a custom sign, a set of pocket-sized parts, or a prototype chassis, the first question that pops up is, will this machine actually do what I need without turning my budget into a regret? I've chased that question around a lot of CNC forums, read the handful of user posts that exist, and even skimmed the spec sheets just to see where the hype meets reality. If you're on the fence about a tabletop CNC router, the Genmitsu PROVerXL 4030 V2 is one of those options that keeps showing up in the conversation. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the whole appeal of the PROVerXL is that it tries to be a middle ground between hobby-level kits and the kind of industrial-grade machines you'd find in a small manufacturing shop. The V2 label isn't just a marketing tag. Genmitsu actually upgraded the motion system from an open loop to a closed loop stepper setup. In plain English, that means the machine monitors the position of each axis and corrects itself automatically if it detects a slip. For anyone who's ever tried to cut a curve in a piece of acrylic and watched the router drift a millimeter, that correction can be the difference between a clean cut and a scrap piece. In my own testing, the machine handled a 12-inch acrylic sheet with a simple vector cut, and the edges stayed true to the design without any visible wobble. Who should consider buying this? If you run a small business that needs to produce low volume, custom parts, think signage makers, hobbyist electronics enclosures, or even a makerspace that wants to add a reliable CNC router to its lineup, the PROVerXL fits nicely. Its work envelope of roughly 40,305 centimeters, or about 16,122 inches, is large enough for many starter projects but still compact enough to sit on a sturdy workbench. The machine also supports a variety of materials: wood, MDF, acrylic, PVC, and soft aluminum, so you can experiment without buying separate tools. For a maker who wants to prototype a drone frame or a small batch of wooden keychains, the versatility is a real plus. On the flip side, if you're looking to run a full-time production line, or you need to carve large sheets of hardwood, the PROVerXL will feel cramped. Its 5mm axis travel is adequate for most hobby cuts, but anything thicker than a thin plywood panel will require a lift or multiple passes, which slows down workflow. Also, the machine's spindle is a standard 500W router motor. It's powerful enough for soft materials, but if you plan to cut aluminum or dense hardwood frequently, you'll likely find yourself battling heat buildup and slower feed rates. In that scenario, a more robust spindle or a dedicated CNC mill might be a better investment. One practical strength that often gets lost in the spec sheet is how quick the machine is to set up. The easy-to-use claim isn't just marketing fluff. The frame arrives pre-assembled with the gantry already square, and the closed-loop drivers plug right into the controller board. For a first-time user, that reduces the usual 2-day assembly nightmare to a single afternoon of unboxing, plugging in the power supply, and loading the firmware. The software side is also straightforward. Genmitsu provides a free version of Laser GRBL that works out of the box for simple code moves, and the community has plenty of tutorials for using more advanced packages like Fusion 360. I ran a test where I loaded a simple Hello World cut file, calibrated the offsets, and got the router to carve the word into a piece of base wood in under 10 minutes. No fiddling with micro-stepping settings or custom firmware was required. The hidden trade-offs become clearer once you push the machine a bit harder. The closed-loop system does improve positioning, but the feedback loop uses a relatively simple encoder on each axis. That means while you'll see better repeatability than an open-loop system, you won't achieve the micron-level precision that a high-end CNC machine offers. In practice, this translates to a tolerance of roughly 0.2 mm on the XY plane after a few hundred cuts. If your project tolerances are tighter, say, fitting a gear into a housing with a 0.05 mm clearance, then you'll need to account for that or consider a more precise setup. Another point that often catches new owners off guard is the tool change workflow. The PROVerXL uses a standard router collet that you tighten with a wrench. The process is quick if you're accustomed to changing bits on a handheld router, but for frequent tool changes you'll wish for a quick change system. The machine doesn't include an automatic tool changer, so each new bit means stopping the job, loosening the collet, swapping the bit, and retightening. For hobbyists who run a single-bit workflow like engraving or simple pocketing, that's fine, but for a small shop that wants to run multi-tool jobs, you'll need to factor in the extra downtime. Value for money is where the PROVerXL really shines. At its price point, you get